Hey guys, it's Ian here. Another video. This time it's no excuses, just play Lamentations of the Flame Princess. It's no secret, I don't think, that Lamentations of the Flame Princess has been one of my favorite discoveries since joining the One Shot group. It's definitely a role-playing game that I probably never would have discovered if it weren't for the One Shot group. But it's just a fucking fantastic game, in my opinion. Lamentations is an OSR game, which stands for Old School Renaissance. So what that means, these are games that kind of harken back to the old days, 30 to 40 years ago, when we played Dungeons and Dragons, before there were really complex rule systems and 5 or 6 monster manuals, etc., etc., etc. It was just basic rules, your players, and you roll dice and have fun. So having said that, as an OSR game, Lamentations is what they call a retro D&D clone. It's very much a clone of basic D&D, or basic and expert D&D you might think of. It does have some updated mechanics, particularly those annoying old mechanics have been updated to more modern armor class I'm talking about, and instead of having a THAC-O and charts to hit by, you just have a basic, a modifier to your hit roll. So it's a little bit more of a modernized D20. It is published under the OGL in that sense. Now, having said that, you're not looking at a D&D 3.5 here with tons of splat books and tons of charts and different character classes. There's only, if I can recall correctly, at least in the most recent version of the rulebook, there are 7 classes. I'm not sure, there might be even less in the next edition. The classes are Thief. Sorry, let me take that back. There is no Thief. It's Specialist, which is your Skill Monkey class. Then Fighter, Cleric, Magic User. Those are all human classes. And then the demi-humans are also classes. So you have a Halfling class, you have a Dwarf class, and you have an Elf class. Again, this is another throwback to the old school games where the demi-humans were classes in basic D&D. There's a good possibility in future editions of the game that they're going to take out the demi-humans, or at least make them optional only, and quite possibly taking out the clerics as well, taking out a little bit of that divine magic. We'll see. I don't know. I don't want to put words into James Raggy's mouth, or I don't want to make predictions just based on the rumors that I've heard, but that's the kind of way it seems to be going. The basic kind of setting of Lamentations, and you can put it in any setting you want, and there's actually a lot of different setting books out for it now that are all very different and unique and very interesting. But the kind of standard, I guess, default setting is based very largely off of 17th century Europe. You're looking at 17th century, kind of firearms. You can have matchlock, flintlock, wheel lock type rifles and pistols and things of that sort. Just as far as the kind of feeling, the technology levels of the setting, that's what it's pretty much based off of. It's a really interesting, really evocative setting, if you ask me, even just for the basic standard setting. Now, having said that, I did mention there are setting books. There are also a lot of published modules and adventures out for Lamentations. I think this is one of the strengths of the Lamentations of Flame Princess brand, is that it has some of the best modules I've ever seen. And splat books, I don't want to call them splat books, but the setting books, I guess I just call them, are fantastic. I have several of them. One of which recently won a whole bunch of awards, called A Red and Pleasant Land, which is written by Zach S. And it's a cross between Alice in Wonderland and kind of Bram Stoker's Dracula is the best description I've seen of it. Whereas it's set in the fantasy world of Voivodia. You have your Red Queen, but you also have a Red King, and he's very much like a vampire. You have these like vampire lords anyway, these vampire courts that are battling with each other, but it's all very much based off of Alice in Wonderland as well. There's even a new class for the game, and they're called the Alice and things of that sort. So it's very, very interesting. Carcosa is another a setting book, I believe, which I'm still waiting on. But Carcosa takes place on like another planet or a moon. I'd imagine that it's very heavily influenced kind of by the mythos and things of that sort. There's the Seclusium of Orphone of the Three Visions, which is a book that tells you about how to make up your own kind of old abandoned wizard towers and stuff and put weird shit in them. There's Vornheim, the Complete City Kit, which is also by Zach S. It teaches you just how to like make cities very quickly and easily. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. There's more and more, I'm sure, but I'm not going to go into all of the different setting books and expansions, I guess, or whatever you want to call them. And then the modules are fucking fantastic. I've only run a couple so far, but I have run the God That Crawls, and I've run Death Frost Doom, and they were both really good, really interesting. A lot of cool little details. You're talking about like a little, probably, what are they, 36-page, I think, adventure booklet. And there's so much stuff in there. Like, I've run each of them twice, and there's a lot of things that haven't even been discovered or touched upon yet. So very interesting, very cool stuff. There's a whole lot more too that I'm gonna run that I want. I own several more, and I've ordered several more, and I'm gonna keep ordering. Probably everything I can find in print, just because I find it to be that intriguing, that inspiring. I love the game. It's bent on horror and weird fantasy, which is kind of my bag. I like that in my fantasy. I'm a big fan of Lovecraft. I'm a big fan of, kind of dark fantasy. I'm not so much into the Monty Hall-ish, happy elves and grumpy dwarves. And, I enjoy a bit of Tolkien, don't get me wrong, but I prefer something a bit more adult. And that's exactly what Lamentations is going for, I think. The creator of Lamentations, James Raggi, is a very big heavy metal fan and grindhouse horror fan, and that kind of shows and represents itself in his game system. It's very deadly. There's a lot of roll saving throw or die kind of stuff in the game. It is not going to hold your hand. Gaining experience, gaining levels can be very difficult, as I've found in my short campaign that I've run so far. I think one, maybe two characters have got to level 2, and it's tough because you only get experience by defeating monsters or gaining treasure. And defeating monsters isn't so easy because the experience rewards aren't great for killing monsters, and also the experience for gaining treasure is very specific. You have to be taking treasure from exotic adventure locations before it will count towards experience. So if you go into the jewelry store and rob it, that doesn't count towards experience. You don't get experience points for robbing merchants or other party members, anything of that sort. You actually have to go into exotic adventure locations and find long lost treasures. And I think that's a really interesting mechanic. It's something that my characters have missed out on a lot of experience because a lot of times they're in these exotic locations and they end up just running for their lives and leaving a lot of the treasure behind. So, there's a very big risk and reward. If you're not willing to take the risk, you're not likely to level up. So, I think Lamentations is a fantastic game. It, like I said, basic D&D. It's a very simplified, compared to more recent editions of D&D. Even compared to 5th edition, I think it's much simpler in mechanics. It's definitely worth checking out. Don't be afraid of the OSR logo. Yes, it's old school. Yes, it's a basic D&D clone, but it doesn't have backwards armor class tables and weird THAC0 charts and things of that sort. They did it right in that sense, I think, but with going with a more modernized armor class and hit system. You can see lots of actual plays of it probably on my channel. You can look for my Lamentations playlist. You probably find other games on there as well. Tim Harper has run a couple of campaigns, the two related that ran together kind of, which is a very good series. He's a great GM. He really sold Lamentations to me, not directly, but just from watching his games and his passion about it. That's what got me to try it out in the first place. So have a look. Try it out. Hit me up on the OSG or the RPG Brigade or wherever, the RPGW3. Let me know. I'm always willing to try and introduce more people to Lamentations of the Flame Princess. So in the meantime, that's my quick reason why you have no excuse and you should just play Lamentations of the Flame Princess. This is Ian from Fantastic Dimensions, and I'll see you at the gaming table.